All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. This is a very special meeting, and I would like to thank all 52 of you for joining us to find out actions you can take right now to combat the climate crisis and to highlight the work that our Citizen Action Wisconsin Driftless co-op members have been doing to fight the climate crisis in the Cooley region and across Wisconsin. Big and a special thank you to Casey Ko, who's serving as our moderator, and will continue letting people in throughout the evening. Quick note about just Zoom etiquette here. I know that we're all used to Zoom at this point, but please make sure that you stay muted during the presentation. We will open up audio for conversation after the meeting. Use the chat function if you want to ask a question. If we are unable to get to your question, make sure that you're leaving your email address so we can follow up with you. And then there will be time and space after all the presentations to interact with our presenters live. For those of you who are new to Citizen Action of Wisconsin, a brief overview. Citizen Action of Wisconsin is a member-led and member-funded issue organizing group working to create a better, more progressive Wisconsin. Citizen Action of Wisconsin is devoted to racial equity, fighting climate change, expanding healthcare, and building a rural-urban alliance. We do this work through our local issue campaigns and through election work. We believe that change is created from the bottom up. We are committed to creating change on the local, state, and federal level. We build our power by helping our members become activist leaders in their community and by helping our members win election to local and state office so that we know our values are represented and our representatives are committed to our values and goals. Tonight, we will hear from climate leaders in the Driftless Coalition and from the Driftless Co-op about climate campaigns they have been working on and actions that you can take now. But this meeting is not just specific to the Driftless Co-op. There'll be actions presented on a variety of topics that all of you, no matter where you are in the state, in the Midwest, or even in the country, can take right now to help fight the climate crisis. Obviously, we all know it's past time to deal with the climate crisis. We are extremely lucky to finally have a president, governor, and both chambers of Congress who understand the need to reduce carbon and save our planet, but it is not enough unless we all do our part. We need to address the climate crisis on the governmental, corporate, and personal level. Over 30% of all carbon emissions come from residential sources. So while we work with elected leaders to fight for climate action, we have to take action ourselves as well. We need to take action big and small now in order to save our planet. First up, I would like to pass this over to our climate leader, Kathy Allen, who will be telling us all about focus on energy plans offered by your local utility. Kathy, if you could bring yourself off of mute and start us off here.
Yes, thank you, Ben. My name is Kathy Allen. In addition to being a member of the Citizen Action Driftless Region Co-op, I am the president of our local Cooley Region Sierra Club. I live in La Crosse, and I am the proud owner of an electric vehicle. We are going to start off tonight talking about focus on energy, and hopefully this is something many of you have heard of. It is a Wisconsin-specific program funded by the state and participating utilities. Any resident that is a customer of a participating utility in Wisconsin can benefit from their various programs. For residential customers, they include rebates for new energy-efficient furnaces and air conditioners, discounts on things like LED bulbs and smart thermostats, incentives for adding insulation to your home, and rebates for solar panels. The goal of all of this is to reduce energy use in our state by improving efficiency. What we want to talk about tonight is something small and free. Yes, that's right, free. They're called focus packs. If you're a customer of a participating utility, your household can receive free energy efficient products. There are a variety of LED bulbs available, efficient shower heads, and if you used an efficient low flow shower head in the past, I can tell you they have much improved, so don't be turned off by past experience. They have pipe insulating tape and faucet aerators. All you have to do is go to their website, focusonenergy.com, all one word, and choose the pack that you want. There are 3 of the options right here on the screen. They have decorative bulbs, like the kind that would go in your ceiling fans. They have floodlights, there are dimmable bulbs, there are handheld shower heads and the ones that screw onto the wall, and faucet aerators that you can just screw right onto your sink. All you'll have to do is enter your utility account number, and then you just wait 4 to 6 weeks for your pack to show up in the mail, and it'll look something like this. My household, we got ours almost 3 years ago, so we're almost eligible for another one. And this program includes renters, not only homeowners. So if you are a renter, you just have to get permission from your landlord and you can order one of these packs. To find out if you're eligible, you just have to check the list of participating utilities on the website. All the big utilities in the state are participants, and many of the co-ops and the municipal utilities are as well. And if your utility isn't participating, you should reach out to them and ask them why and ask them to join so that you can benefit from this program too. And that is all on that for now. I'm going to turn it back over to Ben.
Thank you, Kathy. And we'll be hearing from Kathy later about the Ready for 100 initiatives going on across the state and the country. If you are interested in a Focus on Energy pack, we will be sending out an email shortly after this meeting today with links to request your pack. Everything we present on tonight, you will receive an email after the meeting on how you can take part. So we've made it easy for you. All you have to do is sit back, check your email at around 9:15 tonight, and every action you can take will be listed in that email with links available. All right. Next, I would like to talk, actually, I'm going to show you a video. I'd like to talk about a program called on-bill financing. And rather than listen to me talk, I'd rather let the video do the talking here.
What if your home could be fixed up so that you're cool in the middle of summer and nice and warm in the dead of winter? And you have more money every year for things you need. Your electric utility can make it possible. Here's how. First, they send a certified contractor to your home to see what energy efficiency improvements can be made to lower your electric bill. Then, your utility pays for improvements like replacing old energy-guzzling equipment and sealing up your home or apartment against the heat and cold. You end up with a more comfy and healthy home, and your electric bill goes down because you're not using as much energy. The utility recovers its costs for the upgrades through a charge on your bill, but the charge is less than the savings, so your bill is still lower. There are no loans, no credit checks, and no debt, and everyone can participate, even if you rent instead of own your place.
All right, so a little bit of a video hiccup there. But as we saw, on-bill programs, if adopted by utility companies, can be used to finance things such as solar panels, Energy Star appliances, insulation, air sealing, new windows and doors, and so much more. In order to get these programs up and running, we need to lobby our local and statewide leaders now. In the meantime, we need to help as many people as possible upgrade their homes for energy efficiency now as well. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Driftless Co-op member Lewis Coleman, who will discuss efforts that we are working on to create an on-bill financing program in La Crosse. Lewis, do you want to take it away?
Sure, thanks, Ben. Yeah, as Ben mentioned, my name is Lewis Kuhlman. I am an urban planner in the city of La Crosse. And Ben just introduced me to this idea of on-bill financing, and probably a lot of you are wondering what it all means. And I'm learning too. So what we're hoping to get you involved with is sort of an advocacy campaign to get more people aware of this program, especially our elected leaders. So right now, the city of La Crosse has a number of programs, both loans and grants, that help homeowners out with housing repairs, purchasing new homes. They also help out businesses as well with other improvements. And these are typically low interest or no interest loans. So we have this capacity. We do run programs that offered financing for different things. One of the things about grants and other and reimbursements and rebates is that they don't really help people with the upfront expenses. And when it comes to larger things, larger improvements, that's really hard for people to front. So programs that offer upfront financing are really have the potential to be really beneficial. So there's that. Also, to get a little bit into the complexity of it, the Public Service Commission does allow these type of programs, like say on a water utility bill, and that's kind of what we're looking at. Is because the city of La Crosse, we of course really like Xcel Energy, our electric utility provider, to support this. But in the event that they don't, we're hoping that we can use our water utility bill to run the program. And it's more of a a way to sort of offset your overall utility bills. It won't show up on your electric bill, but if you combine it with your water and electric and look at your utilities as a whole, you'll hopefully see it go down. In the past, the city has supported other energy efficiency programs. For example, Mayor Cabot had a home energy challenge where we helped out over 100 homeowners do energy efficiency upgrades to their home. And we can see that there's a really big interest in this program because we have up to 500 people on our waiting list that were interested in the program. So there's a lot of interest in these energy efficiency programs. And that program also, takes advantage of Focus on Energy, as Kathy mentioned, and Xcel Energy rebates. So there's multiple effects here. So that's kind of where we're at. Is this is not it's sort of a newer idea, and we're hoping to get our elected officials to acknowledge it and sort of educate themselves and allow us to educate them on the program and show that we're interested. And it's something worth pursuing at the city level, especially in times when maybe our electric utility isn't interested in pursuing it. So thank you for your time. And if Ben has anything to add, I'll pass it back to him.
All right, thank you, Louis. So next steps on-bill financing. We would like to see on-bill financing programs offered across the state, everywhere. And we are going to be targeting La Crosse. So folks in La Crosse or in the greater La Crosse area are going to be offered the chance to send emails to the mayor and the city council and advocate in favor of on-bill financing programs. For everyone in other parts of the state, we have a program set up where you'll be able to automatically send emails to every single member of the state legislature and the governor and lieutenant governor, asking them to support on-bill financing programs. And once again, that information, how to take part in that, how to take action around that, will be sent out after the meeting today. All right. As we mentioned, we've had a theme here of energy efficiency, and I've got a video from our director, Kevin Kane, talking about how each and every homeowner in the state can upgrade their home with solar panels and other energy efficiency upgrades right now. And I'm going to start this video from Kevin and let him take it away.
Hello, friends and current members of Citizen Action's organizing co-op. It's great to see you all. My name is Kevin Kane. For those who don't know me, I was an organizer at Citizen Action for almost 10 years, working on all sorts of awesome campaigns with many of you guys. And so I'm glad to be here now because we get to talk about one of the byproducts of those campaigns, which is a new social venture that has been spun off of Citizen Action, but very much parallel and supportive of our mission, that we call Green Homeowners United. This project, some of you guys know, was based off a big effort that Citizen Action was trying to do to try to figure out how to cut carbon emissions in the most effective way possible and create jobs and help middle and moderate income people all over the state in both urban and rural communities. And so, what I'm here today is to tell you a little bit about how that's been going and what you can do with that information. So, what Green Homeowners United is about trying to help make sure that people can upgrade their homes to be energy efficient and wherever possible using renewable energy fairly and affordably, in most cases without having to pay anything extra up front and then each month saving more than it costs to do. So we want to share with you, we've been very, very successful since launching this off in this fall. We've been in more than a dozen counties of Wisconsin upgrading homes to be much more energy efficient. Our work is already cutting heating bills, electric bills, and homeowners are already telling us that their home feels warmer, feels more comfortable. But additionally, on top of all of that, together we are cutting carbon emissions and creating jobs, directly fighting climate change in the process. So all of this came about because of the work of some experts in the climate change community, specifically from the National Resource Defense Council, that did some research that showed that the number one potential source for the most carbon reduction, largest source of CO2 reduction potential, is in making homes energy efficient. And so obviously we as a society need to do all of it. But according to their research, making homes energy efficient is the single biggest thing we can do, which is very, very important. So what you'll notice on here is, yes, we need to make cars electric and we need to make sure that commercial buildings are also using solar and the like. But residential has a big impact. And specifically, when we say energy efficiency, we mean things like LED light bulbs, smart thermostats, insulation, air sealing, water efficiencies, things like that. Solar panels and geothermal, that's in a completely different area right here where it says widespread renewables, as well as other things residential communities can do, such as what's known as electrification, getting homes off of gas and onto renewable electric sources, off of propane, off of natural gas, off of fuel oil, and instead using things like heat pumps and induction stoves and heat pump dryers and very efficient electric opportunities. So all this came about from the research, and we thank the NRDC for making this possible. But we also noticed that nationally, the number one fastest growing job in all of the nation is solar photovoltaic installers. Unfortunately, in Wisconsin, that's not even in our top 10. And so we realized that this was also a chance to help people upgrade their home, save money, create jobs, but also, create jobs in the fastest growing industry there is in other states. It should be here too. We shouldn't fall behind other states that are moving forward. And so we are proud at Green Homeowners United to have already done a program that has gotten solar panels on homes in Door County, Milwaukee, Minocqua, La Crosse, Wausau, all over the place. This program has already been successful. So the way we've been able to do that is by urging financial institutions to start offering a program we call the Green Mortgage. It turns out that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the mortgage originators that have allowed that back up majority of the mortgages in America that most banks and credit unions work with, have created a green mortgage option that any bank or credit union can do. And how it works is when someone is buying or refinancing a house, the bank or credit union adds in an extra 15% on top that can only be spent on energy efficiency, renewable, or water improvement methods like solar panels, air sealing, insulation, things like that. It's the same interest rate as a conventional home loan, meaning that there is absolutely no reason when someone buys or refinances their house, they can't also get solar and other upgrades. In fact, I took these interest rates off of one bank's website today, and as you see, even a 30-year term is under 3%. The majority of homeowners who have mortgages can refinance and fight climate change in the process. So who can do it? People who are buying a home, people who've paid off their home, people who have a house with a mortgage above 3% usually, and even some landlords can do this on behalf of their renters. So what that means is that we very much want to talk to people who are considering buying a home, people who have a house with a mortgage, and even real estate agents and people who talk to those who are looking to buy a house. So what we need your help is to ask people questions that maybe we're not used to asking our friends and family. Do they have a house with a mortgage? What is that mortgage interest rate? Because if it's over 3%, there's a pretty good chance that we can add solar panels and other upgrades without costing them more. And the cool thing is it's all over the state. Minnesota, Wisconsin, urban and rural, we can do this. And the reason why this is working out is because of all the federal action to combat the economic crisis caused by COVID, mortgage rates are now the lowest they've ever been in modern history, which means that most homeowners with mortgages can do this. They can cut carbon emissions through these green mortgage programs, and we can convince more banks and credit unions to do this. It is below 3%. It's almost never been this low, and the majority of homeowners have rates above this. So basically, if you know a homeowner and they have a mortgage, we'd love to be connected to them to help see if they can fight climate change too. So I'm going to give you an example. This is an example of a Wausau resident whose interest rate dropped on their 30-year mortgage term. They got a 7.6 kilowatt solar system. They have an electric water heater. They pay municipal water and sewer. This person, this Citizen Action Co-op member, is going to save $2,400 per year on between their utilities, water, gas, electric, sewer, and all that, and as well as their mortgage. So that's over $50,000 that they otherwise would have been giving to utility companies over the life of their mortgage, that now they won't have to. The bank puts down almost $30,000. The homeowner does not have to. And instead, the homeowner gets to keep that difference, which is pretty nice. It's the carbon impact equivalent of not driving a car 19,000 miles every single year. Upgrading homes has a sizable impact on the planet. So if you are interested in learning more, here's how you get a hold of me. That is my personal cell phone. We encourage you guys to reach out, email, phone. But I want to specifically talk about this website, because even if you are not someone who has a house, maybe you rent or you have no mortgage or any of that stuff, here's how to help. Okay. All you have to do is go to the website that was listed there. Go plug it in, www.greenhomeownersunited.com, and you can learn a little bit more about how this program works. If you are someone you think might be interested, you can go to sign up, tell us a little bit more about your house, and we'll be able to tell you very quickly if this program is likely to help you or not. The vast majority of people we work with, they don't have to pay anything extra up front, and every month they save more than it costs. And I know that because that's what I did. I was able to do this on my own home. And so I want to help make sure other people can too. But even if you are not someone who can do this, I urge you to take a look at the section right here that says bank petition. By clicking on it, tell us where you bank. Where do you have your personal money, your mortgage, your business money if need be? Because we want to approach all banks and credit unions in Wisconsin, because unfortunately the vast majority of Wisconsin do not do this program. We want to approach them as members, as customers, as clients, as community members, as neighbors, maybe even employees, saying we want you to do the right thing with our money. Start offering green mortgage options to people buying and refinancing. It has never been as easy as it's been right now. We can help a lot of people because of how low rates are, but we need to convince more banks to do this. Right now, banks like Merchants Bank, that has a location in Alaska, Associated Bank, which is the biggest bank in Wisconsin, as well as many others, are doing this, but the majority are not. And I guarantee you, most people buying homes who work in banks or real estate agents don't know about this. So we are going to continue fighting not just for home buyers and homeowners, but even for those who rent through some of the work that we're doing. But for now, help us create more green homeowners, welcome green homeowners, check out our website, learn more about us, and we're excited to work with you. So thank you very much for your organizing. This could not have happened without your help. And I just wanted to let you know what we have done to help change the world with your help. And let's continue doing it moving forward. Thank you so much.
All right, a big thank you to Kevin, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us today. But if you are interested in upgrading your own home with solar panels and other energy efficiency upgrades, we will send out the information right after this meeting. Kevin made a great point. Fighting climate change not only reduces carbon emissions, it creates jobs, it helps our local economy, it builds everything up. And that's the way we need to view the climate crisis. So we will be sending out information after the meeting on how you can upgrade your home, how you can petition your bank to offer green mortgages, and so much more. Next up, I would like to pass it off to Alina Belka and Michelle Bloom, who will be talking today about sustainability hubs and building towards a green democracy. So you can take it away, Alina.
Michelle Bloom Hockersmith. I'm interested in all things sustainable and have spent the last 17 years, along with my husband and son, living as sustainable a life as possible in rural Minnesota. Now, I want to build a small house, again, as sustainable as possible on a lot here in La Crosse. La Crosse's ordinance allows for nothing smaller than 1,200 square feet, leading me to live with a larger carbon footprint than I care to. So Elena Belka is with me. She represents Bluffview Development Group, a woman-owned and minority-operated construction company based here in La Crosse. Bluffview specializes in sustainable housing solutions. As a citizen of La Crosse, I want to build this small sustainable house with Bluffview. Ideally, this house would be used as a model of sorts with as many elements of sustainable design as possible. In this country, and La Crosse in particular, we're seeing a lot of progress in cutting the carbon footprint in commercial and public sectors, but there is so much work still to be done in the residential sector. Not only that, but according to the National Association of Home Builders 2019 survey called What Home Buyers Really Want, among the most wanted home features are laundry rooms, of course, and energy saving items like Energy Star appliances, energy efficient windows, as well as whole house green certification. Citizens should have easy access to information on all things sustainable. That said, we are interested in creating what we're calling the Sustainability Hub, a place to find resources of all kinds about living as sustainable a life as possible. This house, with its small carbon footprint on a lot just off of Main Street and Losey Boulevard, that's where we'd like to be able to educate current and potential homeowners about green and energy efficient choices. The thing that motivates the two of us to be here and vulnerable in front of all of you, our search for solutions for the future, especially when it comes to our particularly beautiful Driftless region, its natural setting, architecture, and diverse environment.
So when I imagine the future 2040 or 50 in Driftless area, as a builder and architect, I see a post-carbon one in which oil and other fossil fuels have little or no future. A post-carbon community can only happen if citizens are collectively green illiterate and believe in this type of democracy. We choose four criteria that we would like to introduce as a post-carbon democracy 2040. First one is post-carbon democracy, which is effective participation of all citizens. If we want to live in a socially responsible area, it means we need citizen involvement. The residential sector alone is responsible for 30% of all gas emission. All of us can help government to achieve the bold goals. For example, La Crosse has created and published the City and County of La Crosse Strategic Plan for Sustainability, and we need to marry community, neighbors, students, and universities to this idea. We have opportunities to promote, learn, and educate others on the subject of sustainability. The Driftless region has so few public forums as educational centers to help and guide homeowners. Our mostly institutionalized facilities are not open to us, citizens. All stakeholders, governmental, institutional, commercial, residential, must promote the sustainability agenda to achieve this post-carbon society. Number 2 would be post-carbon democracy, which is count on citizens' voice, which simply means in the post-carbon tri-state area, each citizen must be assured his or her vote will be counted as equal. Number 3 is post-carbon democracy is ecological economy, which simply means citizens must have equal opportunities for discovering and supporting the best choices for themselves and not to compromising their well-being for someone else's short-sighted profit. We would like to promote the sustainability education to the public, build a growing network of people who help new people to learn and negotiate terms with the professional local builders, bankers, federal programs representatives, and encourage them to financially support building energy efficient homes. Just like everything was said above before us. They're not motivated today by public to reduce their profit margin for the better, less toxic, less waste houses. Plus, most of the post-consumer building materials end up in the local landfills, polluting our air, water, soil, jeopardizing the health of all citizens. A green literate public will educate these professionals by insisting on these new standards. Post-carbon democracy is control of the agenda. In order to live in post-carbon society, local communities or individuals must have the opportunity to consider and decide which social values matter. This future will only be successful with close collaborations. Local, national, and international universities, such as in this area, in La Crosse region, University of Wisconsin, of La Crosse, Western Technical College, and other stakeholders researching this post-carbon society. We need them to provide the scientific evidence that will help to build future fields of study and attract young professionals, tech companies, green job builders, federal grants, and international conferences. These areas of study will attract progressive corporations and others who will invest in our sustainable communities here and elsewhere.
Are you interested in continuing this discussion? Join us if you want to learn more about sustainability and applying it in your own community. If you'd like to inspire citizens in your community to make a difference, if you want to create a network of citizens interested in sustainability, if you want to cultivate or nurture green innovation ideas, and build and live in a socially responsible area. And then when we are ready to launch the small sustainable house project, we will workshop parts of it so that we can all learn together by building together. So join us in being a responsible consumer, slowing down the pollution so nature can catch up. We will make a footprint, just a smaller one, so that our future generations will have the nature we have today, maybe even healthier. If you're interested, just reach out to us by this email, post at michellejbloom.com with the subject heading sustainability. And we'll be back in touch with you to get together just to, like I said earlier, just to continue this discussion. We'll find Zoom or something like it to and let you know when we're going to do all that.
Thank you very much, Ben, and everyone else.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Olena. As we mentioned in the email going out tonight, there will be contact information to learn more about the Sustainability Hub, how you can help the project in La Crosse, and even how you can help create a sustainability hub in your own community, wherever you are. That'll be coming out later tonight. Olena, can you stop sharing your screen? All right. Thank you so much. Next, we are going to turn it over to Heather Talbot. Heather has been working on an amazing Solar on Schools project in La Crosse. Heather, are you ready to go?
I am, Ben. I'm ready. All right. So thank you all for being here tonight. I see some familiar faces, and that's exciting. What's more exciting is that I don't recognize some of you. So that means there's folks who might need to hear about what's happening and how you can take part. So I'm Heather Talbot. I am the one of the co-directors of Solar on La Crosse Schools. That sounds really fancy, but Solar on La Crosse Schools is essentially a handful of people who had major shifts in their routine in life at the start of the pandemic, who are pretty passionate about fighting climate change, and decided that we would start meeting weekly on Zoom or one of those kind of platforms and figure out what can we do right now to take significant action to reduce reliance on fossil fuels in our community. We debated like, okay, should we just fight for a school board resolution here in La Crosse and try to get the school to budget for more renewables and focus on reducing, energy usage? Should we try to mount some kind of campaign at the state level to make it easier to, finance for solar panels and actually, get paid through net metering and not have all these hurdles? Essentially, we just decided we would take the path of least resistance, which ended up being that there was some receptive folks to putting solar on some schools here in La Crosse Public Schools. There just wasn't money. And so we decided that in the midst of the pandemic, the path of least resistance to battle climate change and take immediate action was to try to raise some money and get some solar panels on some schools and just start. Okay. And I think that's really important to keep in mind as I talk about all of this, because we are not a fancy organization. We haven't organized as a 501c3 or anything like that. We don't have like a parent organization. We don't have, we're working through some bylaws. We've got a few people who meet regularly. We've got some students who are helping out and contributing. But we're regular folks who have just decided that we're going to make some time for this. Okay. So whether you are in La Crosse County, one of the surrounding counties, or you're somewhere else in the state, or even over in Minnesota or wherever, I just want you to keep in mind everything I talk about is just us figuring out as we went along. Okay. So what's Solar on La Crosse Schools? We are folks who educate, advocate, and fundraise. Those are the three things we're going to do. Okay. And we're doing those three things to make solar energy a reality sooner for La Crosse Public Schools, because there's lots of folks on the school board and with the school district who would love to have more of a reliance on renewables, but it kind of seems like it's not going to happen anytime soon because there's not enough money. Okay. And there's not money in the budget for it. So what we've decided is we are going to make it a priority to get this done faster by helping find the money. Okay. And so by displacing the fossil fuels that the school district is using and doing that with urgency, then we can go ahead and start, let's cut air pollution now, let's cut greenhouse gas emissions now, reduce some energy costs for the district, and start promoting these systems as a sustainability learning tool for our students. That's huge, okay? So we use toolkits from the Sierra Club, shout out to Kathy Allen, Wisconsin Conservation Voters, and Generation 180. So if you're not familiar with some of those organizations, I encourage you to get familiar with them. And what we did is we identified some primary goals. One, let's get the solar panels on, cut carbon pollution, right? Two, let's save some money for the district, because if we can save some money on energy, then we all of a sudden have a little bit of an in or a little bit of say about maybe how they should spend those savings, right? So we provided some money, we helped install a system. Now they're saving money on energy, and we can say, you know, let's take the savings that you're realizing from that and help you start actually funding some of these kinds of things. Well, all of a sudden now there's a line item in the budget, right, where they've got these energy savings and they've committed to putting those savings into further renewable energy type efforts. And so we're getting them started when they might have waited to start. So that's exciting. We also want to benefit student health by improving indoor air quality and all number of things. We also want to raise the learning curve of students who will soon be on the front lines and are on the front lines of implementing climate solutions in our world. And so we want students to have these tools so that when they are in their science and technology, engineering, math classes, that they can track the performance of these systems, that they have very real hands-on experience for looking to careers in renewable energy, because they understand how these systems work and they can actually put their hands on them. We also want to serve as a public model for residents and school staff to learn about solar energy, okay? You might drive down the street in your community and you see, oh, that house put solar on. That's cool. But to be able to be up close and personal with it and offer solar tours and things like that, it's if our schools, if 15 of our schools have solar arrays, all of a sudden that really elevates the conversation in our community. So that's what we're doing here in La Crosse. For those of you who are not in La Crosse, what I would encourage you to consider is, who do you know in your community, or who are you connected with? I know you, maybe your own home, or you've thought about different things. For example, my house is not ideal for solar. Okay. And we have some financial challenges and different things. So this is something that I could do. And I don't just mean solar on La Crosse schools. I mean connecting with a couple other people, putting our heads together and taking some kind of action towards making a renewable system available somewhere in our community. So maybe it's not all the schools in your community. Maybe it is a community center for solar. Maybe it's simply working with some of your city officials to encourage energy efficiency upgrades, right? But you can get together, and even with very little resources, you start pushing and asking questions, you find some open doors and take that path of least resistance, and you can get something done. So what I want to invite you to consider also is how you could support us, Solar on La Crosse Schools, whether you're here in La Crosse County or if you're somewhere else. Okay. So we as a team have not had an official meeting in person. We came together in May, June of last year. So this has all been COVID times, pandemic times, everybody's down and low and whatever. We've raised nearly $40,000, and we have three projects and two of them are complete. One of them is just beginning. And then we have projects in the pipeline. So if we, as people with not a ton of resources, just a lot of energy and passion, can do that in times like this, just imagine what, each of you and some of your folks that you're connected with could do in your own communities or with us. So one thing that we want to invite folks to do, both local folks and folks that are near and far, would be help us with that education piece, right? I said we want to educate, advocate, and fundraise. So educate. We need help in telling solar stories. Okay. Yes, these students are going to see the panels. They're going to be able to learn about some of the installation, the performance of the panels, run some calculations. Kids in elementary, middle, and high school, we want them to have age appropriate access to the science behind solar. But we also want to resonate with narratives, right? And so maybe you have solar on your home. Like maybe, you know, a lot of folks here, obviously you're passionate about this stuff. You could assist us in writing some of our curriculum that we're helping to supply to our district and other districts across the state that have implemented solar on school facilities. So if you're interested in telling your solar story, maybe why you put solar on your home, or you know how it's working for you and what your journey was with it, we would love to hear about that. We also need some assistance in writing some curriculum prompts for educators to help them make sure that they're using the access to these systems in the classroom in ways that are effective for learning for students, and so helping provide them with some tools. If that's your wheelhouse, we'd love to hear from you. And then also help us to advocate. So we didn't pursue a school board resolution right away in our community in regards to a commitment to solar and renewables with our public schools on a certain timeline. We're still working through that as a possible priority in the future, but maybe your community would be ripe for that. Okay. So assisting on those kinds of things and helping to push for the change around net metering and other things. So there's definitely some advocacy opportunities, and we will get more into that as we grow as an organization. We'll have our first membership meeting. Membership is free, but we want folks who are members who are going to be with us for the long haul of expanding solar on schools, even across the state. And so at that membership meeting in the fall, we'll be identifying some of those advocacy priorities. And then assisting with fundraising. So maybe you don't have the dollars yourself, and that's okay. But we do need help in planning and facilitating. We have 3 large fundraisers in 2021. And so we could use, support with that again, even if you're not nearby. We meet through Zoom. So there's also, if you are closer to La Crosse, there is an Earth Fair on April 25th, 2021. Right now, that is still set to go, obviously with safe practices in place, the Sustainability Institute, anyhow. So consider attending that. And then also, we're looking for folks to consider serving on our board. So if you have, some time to lend, we usually now are just meeting once a month or twice a month instead of weekly, since we've got things up and running. But you certainly would be welcome to consider a self-nomination, or perhaps there's someone that you would like to nominate for that, just so that you could be a part of this journey with us, whether you're in our community or not in our community. We do have a toolkit that we're putting together. So the last invocation would be to replicate, whether it's, adapting it a bit for your community, or maybe you want to look at your own public schools in your community and say, hey, maybe we could take some of these similar steps. So we use some toolkits, we developed our own toolkit, and now we want to help other communities replicate some of the work that we've been doing. Just to be clear, some of two of our projects have been very, very small in regards to impact against climate change, but we are looking at them as kind of these seed projects, right? So the actual offset of carbon for putting one of the marquee signs at one of the local public elementary schools running on solar and completely off grid, not a huge impact, right? Like it's not a huge panel, it's a sign, like I get that. But if you consider that the students at Summit Environmental School now get to walk outside of their school building or view a video put together by their teacher and understand that there's a solar panel that's now powering this sign, and it used to be tied into the grid, and here's how the savings work, and here's how the performance of the panel is working, and really combat some of those mistruths about solar, solar isn't, feasible in Wisconsin, or we don't get enough light, or, oh, what about the snow? And is it, durable, and can it last? Well, we're shifting things, and this is going to become commonplace for these students to see that exists, right? So there's learning opportunities, and that can fuel change in the future in a significant way. We also have a portable solar generator that, thanks to a donor, was made possible for the school district, that can be used for outdoor experiential education experiences and other needs through the school district. So instead of burning a generator generator and having that loud sound and using fuel and all of that, we have a solar generator, right? And so students are getting out of the classroom, they're getting active, they're able to do outdoor lessons and things like that. So these are small impacts, but that's where an event like this, when we're saying take action now, maybe not everyone on this call can put solar on their home, in the next year or two, or look at geothermal or buy an electric car. But there are things that we can do. We do have a 100 kilowatt solar array that's going on to Hamilton Elementary School. And that's going to save the district more than $10,000 per year in utility cost. And so all of a sudden we have a fund now of savings that the school district's going to have adding up. And it's interesting because there was no money for renewables. And now as we develop some of these projects and raise 40 grand, the school district is able to find some dollars to pair with our dollars. And so there's a way being made where before there wasn't even a conversation. So I think showing up with your personal energy and talking about renewable energy and just pushing for more efficiency can open doors beyond what you ever dreamed. So that's all I have for you right now. I really, really, really encourage you to look at the email after this meeting. I would love at minimum for the 60 folks on this call to subscribe to our newsletter. Does that, save our planet? No, but it certainly can make a big impact to keep you folks in touch with what we've got going on, and then also to help us to connect with you, learn from you, understand what the challenges are in your community, and help us tailor our work to better, help our community, our state, our country, our world. And yeah, we're all in this together. So thank you so, so much. And I am going to turn it back over to Ben.
Thank you, Heather. Real quick, Heather, just a clarifying question for anyone that doesn't know. Could you just really quick in a minute or two explain what net metering is? I know that you mentioned it a lot.
Oh, sure.
That doesn't know what
Absolutely.
net metering
Yes.
is.
Yep. So net metering is where, like, everybody, if you live in a house, whether you own it or rent or whatever, if you've ever seen like the utility truck come by and they're going to read your meter or make sure it's like, up to snuff and that it's counting how much power you're using accurately, right? And so you get charged based on how much power you use. So there are lots of different rules and regulations that have happened as folks have made some choices about how to personally produce energy using their home. So like solar panels. So if you're producing energy with solar panels, you're not typically just automatically using that energy that's produced, okay? A lot of times you're producing energy that's going into the power grid. So you're producing power all of a sudden, instead of being just a consumer who's eating up the power that the power company was making for you, you now are actually contributing to that pool of power that's available for everyone, right? And so if you're tied into the grid in that way, you are a producer, and you, in my opinion, deserve to be paid for that energy that you're producing, and you deserve to be paid a fair rate for that energy, okay? Because they're essentially borrowing the energy that you're producing and then supplying it back as needed. So net metering, oftentimes, and I'm not like a big guru on all of this, I'd like to use simple terms, but oftentimes you'll end up with 2 meters, 1 meter that will measure what you're producing and 1 meter that will measure what you're using. Some folks, there's even like these dual meters or meters that will start running backwards because you're not using as much power as you're producing. And it's so fun, I have to tell you, to see those meters running backwards. I worked with helping to do like a community barn raising model of solar on homes in West Virginia, in a very rural part of West Virginia up on Chestnut Ridge. And what we did is we found a little bit of money to start out with, and we used it to put solar on one person's house, but we had to help solder the panels out of B-rate solar cells, and it was really quite intense. But once we got solar on that person's home, everybody helped. They didn't get anything out of it other than experience and camaraderie. But then once that person started saving money, they committed to giving that money to help put solar on the next person's house. And so we did it that way, and it took a long time, and it was really a lot of hard work, but it was so fun to see those meters turning backwards, right? Because we had already done the work around efficiency, making things super efficient, so they weren't using a ton of power. But net metering, there are states that are very pro solar in their legislation and what they've implemented, so that it makes it pretty sensible and easy to put solar on your home, knowing that you're going to be fairly compensated, and that you can go forward knowing that you're in partnership with that utility in promoting renewables and moving forward together to fight climate change. Here in Wisconsin, we have a number of regulatory and legislation issues that we need to work on, just because utilities are not held to account as far as how to compensate folks and what should be put in place if you are putting solar on. So there's just work to be done there, and it's bigger than what we can do, as just one little group of people. But we got to attack things on all fronts, and so that's kind of where we're at with that. Thanks, Ben.
And I guess, Heather, there's one more question real quick from the chat. Jennifer was wondering, can you repeat the amount of money savings for Hamilton?
Yes. So Hamilton Elementary School, it is an elementary school here in La Crosse. It's an old elementary school facility building. And they being the school district, were already working on an expansion of that building. It is smaller than the need for the students. And so that was a school district project choice. It's something they already had going on. And we recognize that as an opportunity with the roof space on that new addition, right? So if a school, and this is just a tip, wherever you are in any community, we haven't got into a bunch of debates or anything with solar on La Crosse schools of like, well, which school should get solar first or who should be first. It's pretty simple. If you're replacing a roof on a school, then solar should be like just a matter of fact, right? We want to get to that point that, okay, it's time to replace the roof. It needs to be replaced because it's wearing out. Let's go ahead and put solar on now. That's the time that it makes sense to do it. So Hamilton 100 kilowatt solar array is mostly going to go on to the new addition to Hamilton Elementary. And it's a 100 kilowatt system, $10,000 savings per year in energy cost. And we had an intern from UWL this year who helped to calculate out what the savings to the school district will be over time with those panels. And then we're in talks with the school district to ensure we have some commitment, but we want to make formal commitment that ensures that the savings that they're realizing from these panels, they're going to put back into use for additional renewables or energy efficiency upgrades continued with the district. And I have to say, it's been amazing to work with the facilities and transportation and energy manager at the district and others as well. I think having strong partnerships is so important. We went about it as a small group of people that partnered with the La Crosse Public Education Foundation. So they handle all of our money. We fundraise, people give money to them. They put it in a separate account, just like they have accounts for playground equipment donations and people who want to, buy kids backpacks. They have an account for us now that's Solar on La Crosse Schools. And so when people give money for Solar on La Crosse Schools, it goes into that account. We help identify the projects, and then the projects get paid for through the La Crosse Public Education Foundation.
Thank you so much, Heather. Really quick, I was going to add just a personal story about net metering. I lived for a year and a half in Hawaii. Obviously, Hawaii gets more sunlight than we do in Wisconsin, but Hawaii makes it very easy to install solar on your homes. All of my friends who owned their home, every single one of them had solar panels on their roof, and every single one of them got negative power bills every month. They were producing more power than they were using. And it's great. They actually would get at the end of the year rebates. Their home was helping to power businesses and government buildings and creating more for the grid. And that's just amazing to me. All right. Thank you again, Heather. We're going to turn it back over to Kathy Allen. Kathy is going to be talking about the Ready for 100 campaigns led by Sierra Club and supported by Wisconsin Conservation Voters and Citizen Action of Wisconsin. Take it away, Kathy.
Thanks, Ben. When you hear the phrase ready for 100, what the 100 is referring to is 100% clean, renewable energy. And I first got involved with these campaigns through the Sierra Club. They had some campaigns called Beyond Coal and Beyond Oil that were trying to retire coal plants and oil plants. And the question was, well, what do we do then? And so they came up with this Ready for 100% Clean Renewable Energy campaign. The goal of the program is to help accelerate the transition from fossil fuels to 100% clean renewable energy. And one way they're trying to do this is to move communities forward through local campaigns, asking municipalities to officially set goals to transition to 100% by 2050 or sooner. And that is for all energy, not just electricity. A lot of states are setting goals to have 100% carbon-free electricity, but energy goals would also include heating and transportation. The electricity is going to be the easier part. It's the heating and especially the transportation that is going to be a little harder. We started a campaign in La Crosse in 2018, and we started with the city. And in the summer of 2019, the city passed a resolution unanimously setting the goal. And the goal is not just for city operations, it's community-wide. So the city is going to lead an effort to help the entire community transition to 100% renewable energy. Once we got the resolution passed by the city, we moved on to La Crosse County. And the county just passed a similar resolution in August of 2020. So now we have both the city and the county committed to transitioning to 100% clean energy by 2050. And similar efforts have taken place across the state. It won't be a surprise that Madison and Monona and Middleton have passed similar resolutions, so they are committed. Eau Claire, both city and county have passed resolutions. They are working on a plan. And Wisconsin Conservation Voters worked with the city of Menominee to pass a resolution. And in addition to the municipalities, both the Madison and Green Bay school districts have passed resolutions committing to a transition. And right now, Citizen Action is going to be partnering with Wisconsin Conservation Voters and Sierra Club to start a campaign in Vernon County. So this will be kind of our first step into a rural area, and that is going to start up really soon. If you are interested in doing something like this in your community, we can certainly help you out. The Sierra Club has a lot of resources and national advisors. Wisconsin Conservation Voters is interested in doing this work in more areas. And of course, Citizen Action can help you out. They were very valuable in helping us lobby the county board. I think we generated 50 or 60 emails to county board members, and I think that really made a difference in getting the resolution passed. The county board really saw that there was support for this throughout the community. And it really was not that hard. It can be a little intimidating to go in front of, a county board or a committee, but it was pretty easy for us to find support once we reached out and asked and explained, that there are economic benefits to this, in addition to environmental benefits, and it will benefit the health of your community. So if you are interested in doing a campaign like this in your community, you can reach out to me or Ben, and my contact information will come to you after this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. Back to Ben.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Next, we're going to move on to some legislative goals that we've got going on. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so as many of you know, Governor Evers is preparing his state budget for 2021-22. We at Citizen Action want to make sure that the state budget includes funding for climate change action. As we all know, we have an obstructionist party in control of the state Senate and the state state assembly. So our best chance for progressive change on the statewide level right now is through the state budget. These are the things that Citizen Action Wisconsin is asking for the state budget. State should fund local climate action plans, state funding for transitional job programs for getting people into energy conservation or renewable energy programs that cut climate emissions, forgiving the consumer utility debt so that people who were unable to pay their utilities during the pandemic can keep the power on. Utilities mandate on-bill financing, which we already talked about, and allowing states and cities to raise the building standards for greenhouse mitigation. Right now, as it stands, a city like La Crosse or Madison or Milwaukee can't set its own building standards for greenhouse mitigation. We want to change that so that each city can set its own minimum standards. We do have a lobbying campaign, which you'll be linked into after this meeting, to help advocate for this in the state budget. At the same time, we're also advocating for investment into rural communities, many of which are climate focused. We're asking for investments to make rural small businesses, rural local factories, small and medium-sized farms competitive through targeted grants and loans to underwrite family supporting jobs and reduce the brain drain across Wisconsin. We're asking for large-scale investment into farmer-led watershed groups with a focus on flood resilience. We're looking for funding for rural communities to create and maintain. Someone is drawing on the screen there. I don't know who got access to the file there. Sorry about that. We're looking for funding for rural communities to create and maintain climate action plans that dramatically reduce carbon emissions and prepare for the impact of extreme weather events such as major flooding and drought, and improve economic development without harming Wisconsin's small and medium-sized farms. We're asking the governor to include in his budget restoration of DNR funding so that we can hold CAFOs to higher environmental standards and give counties the authority to prevent new CAFOs from being built or expanded upon. We're asking for investment into local and regional food distribution models to dramatically and measurably lower rural carbon footprints and to support Wisconsin's small and medium-sized farms. We're looking for funding to establish how 100% broadband coverage can be achieved by 2025 through nonprofit local communication co-ops or public broadband utilities. And we're asking for a study to establish how Wisconsin can dramatically increase the supply of affordable housing and family supporting jobs in rural Wisconsin. I bring this up because many of these programs are focused on climate, and also our rural communities are suffering. And the only way that they can survive is with help from our urban communities. After this meeting, you'll receive an email that includes instructions on how to get involved with Citizen Action Wisconsin's lobbying efforts for the 2021-22 Wisconsin state budget. You can also help protect Wisconsin waterways by standing up to CAFOs. Right now, plans are underway to construct Wisconsin's largest hog concentrated animal feeding operation, CAFO, without even an environmental impact study first. We all need to contact the DNR and Governor Evers right now to demand that an environmental impact study is conducted before any permits are granted for the construction of the Roth Feeder Pig 2 CAFO in Crawford County. CAFOs pollute our waterways, hurt our local economies, and endanger Wisconsin's small and medium-sized farms. We need to do everything we can to stop new CAFO construction across the state. Next up, this seems like an obvious one, but we want everyone to really take the time to reduce carbon emissions by using simple steps such as using public transit or working from home. This is from the International Energy Agency. By analyzing commuter trends and labor market data, we found that if everybody able to work from home worldwide were to do so just one day a week, it would save about 1% of global oil consumption for road passenger transport per year. Taking into account the increase this would bring into the economy in energy use by household, the overall impact on global CO2 emissions would be an annual decline of 24 million tons, equivalent to the bulk of Greater London's annual CO2 emissions. If we all worked from home 1 day a week, we could negate the CO2 emissions from London. That's huge. So we're asking each of you to 1 day a week, take public transit, take the bus, or work from home. And next here, I would like to pass it over to Kathy Van Maren to talk about reducing carbon emissions by working from home. Kathy, are you there?
Yes, hi, thanks, Ben. What Ben said is absolutely right. Transportation emissions are the highest of all the emissions or close to it. So we can cut that down. And I'm here to talk a little bit more about public transportation. It's well and good to say take public transportation, but if the bus doesn't go where you work or the schedule is so bad that you can't get there in time to pick up your kid from daycare, what good is it? So we have a transit advocates organization, and we're trying to advocate for better public transportation where there currently is public transportation, meaning better schedules later in the evening, weekends, quicker service, more and better routes, but also to help people who live in rural areas in the La Crosse area where there isn't any or there's not very good public transportation to start advocating for it. For example, in the La Crosse area, there's the Onalaska Home in West Salem shared ride transit, but it's very expensive and it's very limited. So if you live in that area, you could lobby your elected officials to buy in to the MTU system possibly and increase service. So our organization is just starting up, but we really want to help people advocate for better public transit. There are three little events on this slide. February 3rd and 4th, that's a national conversation about transit equity. Anybody can participate. So if you go to our website or look up National Transit Equity Day, you'll find out how to get in on that. You can testify or you can listen to testimony. On February 4th, we're going to be releasing the results of our mayoral candidate survey on public transportation. And then in March, our next meeting, we'll be talking with Senator Brad Pfaff, who's just been put on the Transportation and Local Government Committee. So we're really working to advocate at the state level. We're members of the Wisconsin Transit Riders Alliance, and at the local level to get better public transportation so people can actually use it, and not just people who don't own cars, but anybody. And if you've ever lived or been in places where they do have good public transportation, you know that we have a long way to go. So thanks very much, Ben.
Thank you, Kathy. As someone who's lived off and on in La Crosse throughout his life, now live in Viroqua, I've always felt that I would love the idea if La Crosse could ever take a real investment and build a light rail around the city. I don't see it happening in a small city, but I would find it absolutely amazing. All right, next, we are going to talk about each of you. We're going to ask each of you to become a climate leader. On February 8th, Citizen Action of Wisconsin will be launching a call to action website for you to share with your friends and family. Once the site is launched, we'll be hosting a month-long contest to see who can recruit the most people to take action on climate change. Each segment of today's presentation will be edited and posted to that website as a call to action. Once the site is live, you will receive a link to the site to share. Whoever mobilizes the most people to take action to fight climate change will receive a $25 gift card to the Driftless Cafe, Southwest Wisconsin's finest farm-to-table restaurant, as a thank you. In the meantime, after this meeting, you'll receive an email directing you to actions you can take right now. But we are asking each and every one of you to not just take action yourself, but to become a climate leader, to become an organizer yourself. All right. Oh. And we want to thank you for joining us tonight and becoming a climate leader. As we've mentioned several times, you're going to receive an email shortly with instructions on actions you can commit to right now. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, the link will be in the comments. Our Climate Leader Contest and Call to Action website will go live on February 8th. Keep an eye open for email on February 8th about how you can recruit friends and family to take action, and you can win a $25 gift card to the Driftless Cafe in Viroqua. We're going to leave this Zoom open until 9 o'clock for group conversation. At this point, I'm going to stop recording, and I would ask each of you if you have any questions for any of our presenters. Feel free. If we have too many questions all at once, we may have to switch to using the chat and calling on people. But does anyone have any questions off the bat?